School Success Formula with me, Lucy Parsons. Welcome to today's show. Today what we're talking about, or the title of today's show, is What's the Point of Learning Pythagoras? A Parent's Guide to Motivating Teens to Learn the Things They Don't Think They Need to Know. So this was motivated by a member of the club asking this very question. Her year 10 son was saying, basically moaning and groaning, that he had to learn Pythagoras Theorem, saying that he was never going to use it in real life. So I made a quick video for the parents in the Extraordinaries Club Facebook group answering this question, and they found it really useful. So I know this is something that often comes up with people, so I thought I would make a podcast episode for you about it for this week. So in the episode you'll find out why all students should learn Pythagoras Theorem, and what to say if your teen is moaning about learning any other part of the curriculum because they don't see it as relevant to them. Before we dive into that though, I just wanted to give you some news about something that's coming up at the beginning of July. So if you've got a child in year 12 or somebody who is currently thinking about writing a UCAS personal statement, then at the beginning of July we've got 3 events going on for people who are members of my personal statement masterclass, which you can find at personalstatement.co.uk. So I've got special guests doing feature kind of masterclasses on how to write personal statements for medicine and dentistry, one for law and one for engineering. And I'm really excited that we've got a professor of engineering coming in to do that one for us. So the personal statement masterclass itself is a standalone course that you can work through that breaks down how to write a personal statement in a really effortless and logical and easy way, so that you don't spend hours and hours writing hundreds of drafts and wasting loads of time and tearing your hair out of it and all that kind of thing. And people rave about it when they do it. So it's made up of short videos which go through the process of how to choose your course, university and subject, how to prepare to write your personal statement, so you've got all the right information to put in it, and then actually how to write it itself, so how to structure it, what language to use, how to structure the sentences and paragraphs and all that kind of thing, and how to edit it. So if that's something that's interesting to you, like the personal statement masterclass already works for any subject, but we've got these special feature sessions coming up at the beginning of July. So if you'd like to be part of those, you can sign up for the Personal Statement Masterclass at personalstatementmasterclass.co.uk. Okay, let's get on with today's show, which is What's the Point of Learning Pythagoras? A Parent's Guide to Motivating Teens to Learn Things They Don't Need to Know, in inverted commas. So why Pythagoras' theorem is worth knowing, first of all. If your child isn't naturally mathematically minded, they might be wondering why on earth they need to learn that in a right-angled triangle, the square of the hypotenuse, the side opposite the right angle, is equal to the sum of the squares of the other 2 sides. This is why. Firstly, many professions and jobs use it daily. Architects, engineers, carpenters, farmers and mathematicians will use Pythagoras' theorem on a daily basis. Even someone wanting to do their own DIY might use it. Consider a situation where you need to fix your own roof or empty your gutters. You haven't got a ladder and need to buy one, but what length of ladder should you buy? If you know the height of the house, you can use Pythagoras' theorem to work out what length ladder you need to buy or borrow. It's quick and easy and stops you wasting time faffing about with ladders of the wrong length. Okay, so the second reason why it's helpful to know Pythagoras' theorem is it helps us to understand the universe. An article I found on varsity.co.uk says, Einstein's formulation of his theory of special relativity required nothing more than some basic physics, speed equals distance over time, his considerable brain power, and of course Pythagoras' theorem. It is incredible to think that a theory which changed our perception of space and time is one we all learn about at school. And indeed, this is my bit, put on the end, it was discovered or put together by an ancient Greek several millennia ago. So the third reason why you should learn Pythagoras' theorem is it can be used to solve crimes. Crime scene investigators can use the theorem to determine a bullet's path and where a shot was fired from. Blood spatter from an assault can also be analysed in this way. So if you like criminal, like whodunits or dramas or whatever like that, or Line of Duty, one of my favourites, then, Pythagoras is relevant to all of that. So the fourth reason to know and understand Pythagoras' theorem is that it's a step into understanding geometry. So Pythagoras' theorem is a relatively simple place to start understanding geometry, and triangles themselves, I'm told reliably by my mathematician husband, are the building blocks of geometry. So they're really important, and it's a simple place to start. And once you start down this road, you never know how it's going to spark your interest and where it's going to take you. So the fifth and final reason I have for you today to understand Pythagoras' theorem is the simple awe, wonder and beauty of it. I'm no mathematician. You've probably heard me say that before if you're a long-time listener to the podcast. But even I can look at this simple equation and marvel at how an ancient Greek millennia ago came up with something so simple yet so useful that has been used down the ages. Even if mathematics isn't a language you'll ever be fluent in, you can appreciate how beautiful and amazing it is to boil something that could be complex and difficult to work out into a simple and elegant equation. So those are my 5 reasons why you should learn Pythagoras' theorem. If you are a mathematician or have a very strong interest in Pythagoras and you know any more reasons, please let me know. The best place to do that is in the comments beneath the article that goes with today's episode, and you can find that at lifemoreextraordinary.com/Pythagoras. And I would just love to hear any more good reasons why students should learn Pythagoras. Okay, so now we've looked at that specific example that stimulated this today's episode. Let's talk about how to motivate your team to learn something when they don't see the point. So this is any old thing, not just Pythagoras. So the first thing you can do is encourage them to get curious. Curiosity is the biggest motivator. The people who ask questions and are hungry for knowledge are the ones who are intrinsically motivated to learn and discover answers. If your team doesn't see the point in something, get them to get curious. They could do this by Googling, what's the point of learning? Insert the thing that they don't see the point of learning. That is exactly how I found the Varsity article, which I quoted earlier. They could also ask their teacher. Teachers should have a good idea of why any knowledge that they're teaching is worth knowing. And if a teacher says, just because you have to, go and ask another teacher that teaches that subject in the school. Or you could ask other adults that you know, or even other students that you know, because occasionally that geeky student who sits in the corner, they've got these kind of answers. They understand why it's important to know this stuff. So chat to them, see what they know. But fundamentally, all knowledge is useful, even if it's only about demonstrating possibility. If you think about things like the great explorers who discovered and mapped the world, they could have sat at home in Europe smugly thinking they had everything they needed from life. But then we wouldn't have coffee, tea, spices, foreign holidays, exotic fruit and vegetables, and ideas and ways of looking at life from other cultures. The same can be said of space travel. A famous example of something useful that's come out of space travel is Teflon, which saves hours of scrubbing in the kitchen through its use on non-stick pans. If no one had had the curiosity to head into space, which the human race didn't strictly need to do, Teflon wouldn't have been invented. There are countless other examples of knowledge that we only have because of someone's curiosity. These things had to be discovered before we knew what their point was. And so with those things, it's about the possibility of that piece of knowledge being available to the human race. Like, what are the possibilities with that? And that is just fascinating and intriguing. And if you're the person who actually put something that was apparently pointless to good use, then you are seriously benefiting humanity. Okay, so the second thing you can say to a student who can't see the point in learning something is, how does it help your life? So a good example of this is prime numbers. They are beautiful and mysterious to mathematicians. To the rest of us, they might be a bit of an enigma. But we all use them every day if we use the internet, because prime numbers are fundamental to encryption. So if you've logged into your online bank account today, or you've sent a WhatsApp message, you have used encryption, which uses prime numbers. And basically, the internet wouldn't be economically viable if it wasn't for encryption, because most services on the internet are behind some kind of password or something like that, and all that works through encryption. Another example is from when I was teaching geography, and a topic that I taught that many people thought was dry and boring was soil. Now, I did my best to spice it up and make it interesting for people, because actually I was really passionate about it. But so many people take soil for granted because it's just this dirt beneath our feet. But when you get down to it, soil is fundamental to the survival of the human race, because without it, there would be no food. Some people may take food for granted, but doesn't it make us better human beings and contributors to society if we understand how soil is made and how we should be looking after it for ourselves and future generations? You know, many soils have taken the last 10,000 years to create. So if we trash them in a few generations, you know, that's a problem for humanity. Having this understanding of how soils are created and how they should be looked after helps make us better citizens and participants in democracy, because when we understand these issues, then we can make more informed voting decisions and shape the future of our country and our world more effectively. Finally, just knowing what's possible, what knowledge is out there, could help you in the future. If you take on a project or are managing other people or need to recruit someone, then knowing that certain knowledge and capabilities are out there will help you on your way. And simply just having the vocabulary to kind of Google something helps you to find out the answers and helps you move forwards with solving a problem. You know, there's occasionally been problems, I can't think of an example off the top of my head, but in my life where I literally didn't have the words to do the research to find out the answer. And that's a real problem. But if you've got this basic level of understanding of what is possible, then you know that there are ways of solving that problem and there are ways of researching that problem. You've got the vocabulary to explore it, basically. Okay, the third thing you can say to a teen who doesn't see the point in learning something is basically that society says it's important. Now, I don't know how much this will, speak to a teenager who is being a bit awkward about learning things, but what's important to understand, particularly at GCSE, is that GCSE stands for General Certificate of Secondary Education, which basically means it's been decided by the people of this country what it's important for young people to know at the age of 16, or what was formerly the school leaving age. By electing a government, that government sets its educational agenda and works with Ofqual and the education sector to implement that agenda. If a young person says, this information isn't for me, they're saying that they don't want to meet the minimum educational standard of a functioning adult in this country. And that minimum educational standard has basically been decided through democracy by voting for a particular government and letting them put forward their education agenda. Now, it's completely valid to disagree with it and to vote a different way the next time round, but if you take part in a democracy, you have to have consensus from the losers as well as the winners. And, this is the system that we've got. Do what you like to change it, but it's the system that we're in right now. And it's been decided that this is what you need to know at this age and stage of your life. Okay, the fourth thing you can say to a teenager about things that they don't see the point of knowing is just the pure satisfaction of knowing things. I studied both biology and chemistry at A-level. Most of what I learned has not been very useful to me in a direct and practical way. However, it's given me knowledge that has helped me understand the world I live in and live in it more happily. An example is studying the chemistry of paint. As a result, I understand the different types of paints, their properties, and how they might be used. This makes it easier for me when I step into the paint aisle with all those hundreds of different cans to choose from to make an educated choice. Similarly, learning about nutrient cycling in biology and geography hasn't been very useful to me apart from being able to teach it to other people. However, it made me understand why it's important to compost kitchen and garden waste and how composting helps the environment, which helped me to be a more responsible citizen and look after the planet for my children and future generations. And, it's just nice, like hearing something on the news and understanding the science behind it, or reading a book and understanding the history behind it, or me being a geographer, driving through the landscape and understanding it in a way other than just as an observer. You're actually looking at it and understanding why it looks the way it does, why somebody built something somewhere and why they haven't built something somewhere else, and all this kind of thing. It just makes you more a part of the world because you understand the world rather than just observe it and move through it. Okay, we're coming to the end of today's podcast, so I'd love to know, what piece of knowledge has your teen questioned why they need to learn it? Can you use this article to help them understand why it's not a waste of their time? And can you come over to the comments section at lifemoreextraordinary.com/Pythagoras and let me know what piece of knowledge it was that they were questioning, why they needed to know it, and how you helped them to come round to the fact that it was something legitimate for them to learn. And I also said earlier about other reasons why people should learn Pythagoras. So if you know any others from the ones I've listed, I'd love to hear those in the comments as well. So just to leave a comment, you go to lifemoreextraordinary.com/Pythagoras. And I just wanted to say, if you have any other issues with your child's motivation to study, we have a module in the Extraordinaries Club called Boost Your Motivation, where you can work through the module, and that looks at the main different types of motivation and how to practically put those into place. So there's long-term motivation, working towards something in their future, short-term motivation, that's like short-term incentives, and the kind of thing we've been talking about today. So if you need that kind of help, you can access that in the Extraordinaries Club. And you can also ask me questions, like the member who asked me the question that inspired today's episode, on our live coaching calls or in the Facebook group at any time. And I'd be more than happy to make a little video for you if you ask it in the Facebook group, or discuss it with you on a live coaching call. And I may even turn it into a blog post or a podcast episode in the future, because I think it's really helpful for everybody who tunes into the things I have to say to help you. So if you'd like to join the Extraordinaries Club, go to theextraordinariesclub.com, and you'll find a link to that as well in today's show notes at lifemoreextraordinary.com/Pythagoras. Okay, I really hope today's episode has helped you. Thank you so much for listening. Have a wonderful day, and goodbye.